About that time as we prepare to do our taxes this season, there are so many pandemic-related changes or issues that may change how we file. For example, are you claiming stimulus payments or maybe adding up everything you bought when you started working from home?
We're getting answers on how to handle all this come tax time from Kimberly Washington, a tax analyst with Forbes Advisor. Kimberly, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Listen, we all know it was a weird year for a lot of reasons. When we talk about our taxes, there's a lot to cover. Talk about timing. Things were off last year, right? They moved the tax date and some extensions applied. What about this year?
So this year, of course, there's a delayed tax start. Many people know the tax season didn't start until February 12th, and with it comes a lot of different changes. As it relates to this will be the first time for many individuals to file unemployment. Also, they have the PPP for business owners. All of these different things that individuals and business owners have to be aware of this tax filing season.
And one of the things that you mentioned are those stimulus checks, and so many Americans don't realize that that's not taxable.
Right, so stimulus payments are not taxable. We just recently did a small survey and we found that 50% of respondents, they actually believe that the stimulus payments were taxable, but you do not have to pay taxes on this money when you report it on your tax return.
So many people working from home, Kimberly. What kind of bonuses are they going to get this year, or breaks is the better word, or are there any at all?
So it just really depends on your personal tax situation. If you are a person who is an employee and you're working for someone, you cannot take a deduction for your home office deduction. However, if you are that same person and maybe you have a small business or a small gig on the side, you may in that case be able to take the home office deduction, but it's really going to depend on your personal tax situation.
Oh, a side hustle.
Right, but for those people, I guess the commute, maybe they saved on the gas and the car. So many people like me, all of a sudden my house was full. All my kids bounced back home. So talk a little bit about childhood credits and how they might differ this year.
Right, so child tax credit is a big one. So normally under the current law, you are able to take this deduction up to $2,000 on your tax return if you have a child under the age of 17 years of age. However, there's going to be some changes this year. We just saw a lot of it in the news. President Biden is proposing at this time that individuals who qualify for the child tax credit, they may now qualify to actually get a monthly payment as it's concerning to the child tax credit. So you're going to see a lot of changes as it relates to the child tax credit this year.
Kimberly, one of the most difficult parts of this whole last year was the fact, forgetting the illness, because that was really obviously the worst part. But when it came to our home finances was the fraud that came with it, right? And the entire nation got hit by that on some level. What should people who were either hit by fraud or maybe unknowingly were hit be either looking for, watching for, or expecting this season?
Right, so you want to make sure that you're checking your credit report. You want to keep an eye out for any suspicious activity as it relates to your personal financial situation. But more importantly, just keep an eye on your finances. Make sure that you're talking to a tax professional. Seek help and if you need to do so this tax season because, of course, many people have been impacted several different ways.
Kimberly, will there be certain forms that might show up at my front door that I wasn't expecting, and all of them through the mail, right? If we're getting any notifications online, that's fraudulent too. Help us sort through that part of it.
So when we talk about different forms, one of the biggest things that you're going to see this year, you're going to receive what's called a notice 1444, and this notice for individuals who's actually received the stimulus payment. So if you received this notice and you hadn't received your actual stimulus payment, that could be a chance that there was some type of fraud. So you definitely want to contact the IRS and see what's going on. But if you are a person who did receive the stimulus payment and you also received this notice, you may also want to know this tax season, you may qualify for what's called a recovery rebate credit. And this is a case for a person who may have received a partial payment, a stimulus payment, or a person who didn't receive it at all. So that's something else you want to keep your eye out for this tax season.
Right, so that even if they didn't get their stimulus payments now, there's a way to get that rebate.
That is correct. You may be able to claim it on your tax return. So it's called a recovery rebate credit. And so you definitely want to talk to someone, your tax professional, and determine whether or not you qualify for this credit.
I want to get back to this issue of the fraud because so many people, myself included, Lourdes Duarte, here at the station alone, and we've done stories on the people who, through the Department of Employment Security, people filed on our behalf. Is there any way that we might not know that we'll get hit later with some kind of tax, I don't know,
repercussions of some sort?
Right, that's a good question. And you're right, unemployment as it relates to identity theft has been on a rise. So normally what would happen, if someone filed in your name, you will receive a Form 1099-G, and it's actually going to indicate that, hey, unemployment benefits were actually paid out to you, but not necessarily to you.
Right.
So what you need to do is actually you need to pick up the phone, go online. You need to contact your state's agency as soon as possible. They are aware of the situation, and so they have steps in place that can help you. But in normal situations, in normal situations, rather, you will receive a Form 1099-G that would indicate that someone has actually used your information to file for unemployment benefits on your behalf.
So it's not going to be a big surprise after we file and they say, hey, wait a second, you collected unemployment and you got an income.
Right.
All right, thanks.
PPE, this is something that affects us all. Can anybody claim it? Is there a break to be had, whether you're working at home, doing it for your children or anyone else?
It's going to depend, again, on your personal tax situation. So if you are a person who actually is a teacher, you may be able to claim up to $250 on your tax return for the amounts that you pay for class. Also, if you're an educator, too, as well. Another thing that you want to keep in mind, if you're purchasing these items and you're a small business owner and you're actually purchasing it for your business and for your employees, you, too, may also be able to take it as a deduction on your tax return. So those are some things to keep in mind. But if you're at home and you're just making the purchases, those are personal deductions, and you're not able to take it as a deduction on a tax return.
That's a tough one. Every penny counts.
One of the things
Yes.
we've also been talking about is the mail and how slow things have been. Is there any chance that we can get an extension without getting a penalty for it?
So if you're going to get an extension, you actually have to make certain that you file for an extension, and you have until April 15th to do so. Keep in mind, even if you file an extension, this does extend the time to file, but it does not extend the time to pay. So you want to make certain that you do file by April 15th, and you have until October 15th in order to file that tax return.
Some things never change.
Yes.
Kimberly, thank you so much. We needed a reminder. Tax season is coming.
Yes, tax season is coming.
For more information, you can check out Forbes.com. We'll be right back.